Welcome back. Former President Jimmy Carter is now coming to a comic book near you.
Ooh.
Yep.
That's cool.
The latest political figure to be added to the Tidal Wave Comics Political Power series.
This is a great idea.
Yeah. You get to know your presidents in a whole new way.
Yeah.
So you get a little sneak peek right here. The comic will be released on Wednesday, just days before Carter's 97th birthday on October 1st. Now, the comic will showcase his 75-year love affair with his wife Rosalind, his road to the White House, and, of course, his presidency.
This is way cool. I think kids are just getting more willing to ingest history when it's in a format that they enjoy.
Oh, for sure.
And why not? So
It's
cool.
a lot easier than watching some boring news reporter
That's the thing.
talking
And
about
this
it,
art
right?
looks really cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Very cool. Okay, so whale watchers off the coast of Seattle on Friday got really lucky. Take a look at this. They saw a group of orcas or killer whales right off of the coast.
That's cool.
How fun.
This is, I mean, it looks like they're in like a helicopter or something. That's what this camera is looking like to me. But look at that pod.
Yeah, much rather be in the helicopter than in the
air.
water.
Right? Like one of those kayakers or something like that
Yeah,
you see
seriously.
from time to time.
Terrifying. So these pods include usually dozens of whales, and it's just a really rare thing to see them, especially as far south as Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
So they're just not something you see normally. Probably a once-in-a-lifetime experience for these guys who saw it in person. Very, very cool.
And you get them in the San Juan Islands right there in the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah.
but you don't quite get them as further down the coast. Great to see.
Must be trying to get some food.
Yeah, maybe they will.
little hungry.
Yeah, maybe a Starbucks or something like that.
No, there you
Who
go.
knows? From the water to the air, if you ever wanted to fly like a bird, you'll love this story.
Hey.
Natalie, I believe her name is Mallinger. She wanted to experience flying with a flock of geese before she lost her sight to a degenerative eye disease. So there just happens to be a plane and a pilot who can do just that. So you see, there's the aircraft right there. It's especially designed and trained with these geese so they fly together with
So
each other.
These geese know the pilot and plane, and they
Exactly.
voluntarily fly along. This is way cool.
Yeah. So the geese are like, I believe they're teenagers right now. They're juvenile geese.
I didn't know you could train geese.
Well, you can do a lot of things,
There's
right?
I can't think of the movie name, but there's a movie about a girl who goes to live with her dad, and then her dad flies these things, and she trains a flock of geese to fly with her in one of these little
Okay,
things.
so that's way cool.
It's a thing.
Yeah. So here's this thing, and they obviously made an opportunity for this girl who's
Yeah.
going to be losing her sight at some point. I can't imagine the thrill that must have been to be there in that V formation with them.
Very, very
The
cool.
flying
Awesome.
V. Mighty
flying
duck
V.
action
Right?
right
You
there.
betcha. Uh-huh.
Okay, we've got baby birthday time now, and we're celebrating a fun
No.
one. This
Oh,
is baby
wow.
Eve. She turned 6 months old yesterday.
Look at this little precious nugget.
Oh.
For those who don't know, that's your baby Eve.
Yep, that's my baby Eve.
She is adorable.
Cute. Happy
That-
birthday,
my
baby
goodness.
Eve. We love her. She's so cute.
That's
She's
like
such
Gerber
a happy
babies.
baby.
Look at
That
that.
smile.
I mean, that's
She's
like
a
national
model
campaign
baby.
something.
Model baby.
Yeah.
So cute. Yep, 6 months yesterday. It really does go so fast.
How could you ever say no to that?
I know.
No.
She'll never do anything wrong in her
How
entire
big
life.
and bright her eyes are right there. Oh, wow. Happy, happy, happy.
Yes, we love wishing happy birthday to your friends and family too, so please send us in those photos, news@abc4.com. We'd love to shout them out.
I don't know if Eve's awake this morning. What's the weather looking like for
Hopefully
her?
not.
Well, it's yeah.
Oh, she's still asleep.
Fingers crossed.
It's going to be a warm day today, but we got some pictures for you. We always like to do it this time in the morning.
Oh, a little color change.
Yep, and this is I took this yesterday atop a big mountain, just looking out. I mean, it's just beautiful. And not only that, it was in the 80s yesterday in Salt Lake City. By the time I got to the top of the mountain, temperatures were in the 70s. It was great. And then Kathleen Rourke sent this in from Marysvale, and you could just see the bright yellow. The aspens are going to do their thing. And that
Wow.
is just
Oh, my goodness, that's
Stunning.
yellow.
and
Holy
these
cow.
are up in the Tushar Mountains in the central half of the state. Beautiful. Brian Whiteleather, he sent in a couple of photos last week, and this was from yesterday in North Ogden, where you almost have a cotton candy effect. It almost looks more
Yeah.
like Easter with the fall colors than it
little
looks
bit.
like fall
Yeah,
out there.
you betcha.
Maybe the Easter Bunny going to be driving through. And then Carol Dyer sent this in from Bear Lake Valley. You get the nice little stream right there, the fall colors as well.
Makes you want to go
So
fly
pretty.
fishing, doesn't it?
Oh, it sure does. I mean, I
Yeah.
bet it would be great to go fly fishing. And then Chris Williams sent this in from Fairview. I mean, if you go up in the higher elevations, you're going to find it. And it's really getting to the point where it's around 6,000 feet. And in the next week or two, those peaks are even going to be down in Salt Lake City. So if you want to share your photos, if you want to see them on air, you can just send them in on Facebook, Twitter, and also on Instagram. We'd be more than happy to get your photo on air just because Utah's beautiful, and the fall colors, you just can't beat them. In the meantime, though, it's just a nice, quiet start to the morning in St. George as we wait for the sunrise. Still got a little while to go, but for a daytime high in Salt Lake City, a daytime high of 87 degrees, so going to be a warm day with some patchy smoke. Meanwhile, in St. George, mild with a small rain chance, but in the southern half of the state, if we're going to find rain, it's mainly going to favor the higher elevations. But let's go ahead and check your traffic, where there's only one accident out there. It looks like it's off the interstate, and it's going to be around Tooele, but otherwise, we're looking fantastic on this Monday morning. And your drive times from Provo to Salt Lake City, 36 minutes in both directions. Since we're starting a new week, if you want to take your weather with you on the go, just download the Pinpoint Weather App. Go to the App Store, Google Play, or scan the QR code coming up on your screen. There's big changes on the way coming by tomorrow.
Oh, it's a teaser for tomorrow right there. All right, it's September 27th. Here's your fun national holidays today. National Chocolate Milk Day.
Oh,
I think anybody can get behind that one.
Have to head down to the BYU Creamery for that.
Oh, they have some great chocolate
It's
milk.
the best chocolate milk. You can't beat it.
And as a kid, you lived for Chocolate Milk Day at school. Awesome. All right, I believe this is also National Crush a Can Day.
Cool.
So
Recycle.
You ever tried to crush a can with one hand? Or like crush it on your head?
No.
Yeah,
I've tried
crush
that.
the can.
Yeah. It's not very easy right there, but it's meant to help you recycle, right?
Okay.
Crush a Can Day.
Cool.
National Scarf Day. Got a scarf?
Lovely.
Maybe wear it today. National Family Day. Encouraging us all to be able to get together with your family today. Maybe have a meal together.
Love that.
And National Day of Forgiveness.
Oh.
Goes along with Family Day because you know there's a lot of family riffs in there when you get together. You're like, all right, I'm sorry about what I said.
And maybe you just toss or you hand out some chocolate milk around the table.
There you go. There you
Right?
go.
Maybe wear a nice warm scarf. All right, the time is 5:56. GMU at 6 right after this. Now on GMU at 6, a Utes football player killed at a house party. Here how students and state leaders are reacting to the tragic death of Aaron Lowe.
And Gabby Petito laid to rest by her friends and family, what her dad hopes to do for other families of missing people.
And then an Amtrak train derails in Montana. Find out how passengers sprung into action to help each other survive.
And as we're starting this new week, it's going to be warm and breezy, kind of a bit of a summer feel in the air, but we're not too far away from a big change being on the way. We'll be talking about it on Good Morning Utah. That starts right now.
Live, we're there for you. Good Morning Utah at 6 starts now.
Good morning, Utah. I'm Brian Carlson.
And I'm Sarah Martin at 6 a.m. this Monday morning.
We begin with another death for the University of Utah football team. Player Aaron Lowe was killed at a house party in Sugar House over the weekend. You can imagine how it's affecting the Utes team. His death comes exactly 9 months since his former high school teammate and fellow Utes player Ty Jordan also died by accidental gunfire. Salt Lake police say Saturday night they got multiple calls about a loud house party. Responding officers learned that someone had a gun, 2 people were hit, Lowe died, and now a woman is also in critical condition. Police need your help to find out who killed him.
You know, the #1 priority for the Salt Lake City Police Department right now is for our detectives to continue to work this case and to get justice for Aaron Lowe.
Now, officers are urging any witnesses to come forward with any videos or photos of what may have happened. So far, police aren't sure if other Utes players were at that party. No arrests have been made.
Fellow students at the U are speaking out about Lowe's death. One we spoke with says this hits harder because it's not his first friend. He's lost to gun violence in Salt Lake City. Tony Muriel told us he lost a friend to a shooting in Salt Lake last year similar to this one. In Lowe's case, police say a group of unwanted visitors showed up in Sugar House to a house party, what neighbors call a safe and quiet neighborhood. An argument then turned into gunfire. The student we spoke to says gun violence like this is preventable.
Oh, this guy had such a big potential, but that was just cut so quick, and it wasn't his decision. It wasn't anybody. It was just, it's horrible.
If you know anything about Lowe's death, please call the Salt Lake City Police Department. Their number right there on your screen. Salt Lake City Police Chief Mike Brown is taking to Twitter to express his grief on Lowe's passing, saying, quote, "I'm deeply saddened by the shooting death of Aaron Lowe. This talented young man touched the lives of so many here in Salt Lake City and in Texas. The Salt Lake City Police Department grieves with and offers our condolences to the Lowe family and the University of Utah community."
Several state leaders also tweeted their condolences for the death of the Utes defensive back. Governor Cox wrote, quote, "Abby and I mourn with our University of Utah family and friends of the tragic passing of Aaron Lowe this morning. Our prayers are with his family at this terribly difficult time." Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall also tweeted, quote, "My heart is with the family and friends of Aaron Lowe on this tragic morning. Aaron was an exceptional and talented young man who was loved by those close to him, the University of Utah community, and Salt Lake City." Now, as always, ABC4 News is there for you. Stick with us for the latest on this developing story, both on air and online at abc4.com.
Let's get a check of our weather this morning. Meteorologist Thomas Givoy. Thomas, dark skies so far this morning, but the fall colors already coming in.
Yeah, the fall colors are really popping, especially once you get above 6,000 feet. I mean, it just looks fantastic. So if you wanted to go for a canyon drive today, I wouldn't blame you. It's going to look quite nice out there, and we'll really see some nice conditions here as we go throughout this week. And by the middle of the week, it's going to feel like fall. But in the meantime, here's the view from Southern Utah University at the Quad. All is quiet this morning, and it's quite mild out there as well, where it's 59 degrees right now in Salt Lake City, so you probably don't even need a sweater as you're heading out the door, maybe a light sweater. 52 degrees in Provo, 59 degrees in Delta. We're at 69 degrees in St. George, so a nice warm start to the morning there. 67 degrees in Lake Powell, 53 degrees in Price, and it's 45 degrees over in Vernal. On the satellite and radar, we're looking at pretty clear conditions in the northern half of the state, but as you go down to the southeast, got a little bit of cloud coverage, also got a little bit in the way of some spotty shower activity. That's because we have a low pressure sitting more or less on the Arizona and New Mexico line. It's going to be moving northeast, so an isolated shower today in the southern half of the state can't be completely ruled out, but that's mainly going to favor the higher terrain. So Salt Lake City, going to be looking at a mostly sunny sky, looking at dry conditions on the Wasatch Front, patchy smoke, looking at moderate air quality, and then in St. George, a daytime high of 90 degrees, and it will be breezy across the board as well, as we'll see winds around 15, maybe even upwards of 20 miles per hour. With your traffic, the only accident out there right now is at Utah 36, and this is northbound. 2 lanes are closed at Stansbury Parkway, so this is near 2L. umbrella. So if you're moving through this area, you might want to give yourself just a little bit extra time. But our major thoroughfares of 80, 84, 15, and 215 are looking good. And if you're going from Park City to Salt Lake City, it's between 31 and 32 minutes. Safe travels.
Thomas, thank you. An Amtrak train derailed in Montana, flipping train cars on their sides and killing 3 people. Many more were injured. This happened near Joplin, Montana on Saturday. The 8-car train was Seattle bound from Chicago. It was carrying over 150 people. The first of those who died has been identified by his wife as Zach Schneider. First responders were on scene quickly, and passengers sprung into action to help each other escape the wreckage.
One gentleman was able to finally crawl out from under out of the gravel. We helped him up a ladder, up out of the car, and then down a ladder down onto the ground to waiting assistance down there.
The National Transportation Safety Bureau is on scene this morning to investigate. Amtrak says they are cooperating. The stretch of track where the train derailed was just inspected last Thursday.
And over the weekend, loved ones said their final goodbyes to Gabby Petito, the Florida woman who was killed on that cross-country trip with her fiancé. Hundreds mourning her death gathered at a Long Island funeral home there in New York. Her father spoke at the service, saying he hopes people will be inspired by her story and make decisions that change their life for the better. Joseph Petito has started the Gabby Petito Foundation in his daughter's honor. In a tweet, he says the foundation will provide resources for other families whose children go missing.
If there's a trip that you guys want to take it. Now, if there's a relationship that you're in that might not be the best thing for you, leave it now.
Now, Petito's body was found a week before the funeral in Grand Teton National Park. Her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, a person of interest in the case, still nowhere to be seen, now wanted for bank fraud charges.
Petito's fiancé, Brian Laundrie, again still missing, but investigators are moving forward and gathering items for DNA testing. Laundrie has not been seen in nearly 2 weeks. The family attorney says he left home without his wallet or phone. His parents are concerned that he might hurt himself. Investigators are still searching the nature reserve near his home using air units, drones, swamp buggies, and other specialized equipment to search the swampy Carlton Reserve. We'll continue to follow the latest on what happened to Gabby Petito with updates both on air and online at abc4.com.
And new this morning, here's a wild story out of San Juan County. A woman reported missing a year ago, now back home. Kayla Blackburn disappeared from her home last September. Her family reported her missing to the sheriff's office and the Navajo Police Department, but it wasn't until Saturday that anyone saw the 29-year-old woman again. No word on what happened to her, how she was found, or how she's doing. 6:07 is the time. One person died in a car crash over the weekend in South Jordan. This happened Saturday near 750 West South Jordan Parkway. Details of the crash here are limited, but police say a 40-year-old woman was rushed to the hospital where she later died. Another person in the crash left with minor injuries.
Now to our coronavirus coverage. The U.S. is sinking on the list of global vaccination rates. We're currently ranking 45th. According to data compiled by the Financial Times, experts say that's why our hospitals are overrun and our death toll continues to rise. We're seeing more than 1,500 deaths every day. President Biden highlighting the issue as a problem for those with other health care needs.
The unvaccinated overcrowd our hospitals, overrunning emergency rooms and intensive care units, leaving no room for someone with a heart attack or a cancer operation needed.
The CDC says that just under 65% of eligible Americans 12 and up are fully vaccinated.
And if you want the shot, here's plenty of supply. Authorities say they have enough of the vaccine, whether it's your first dose or booster shot, for any American who needs it, including children. Right now, the U.S. has over 40 million doses. Health officials, however, don't want them to go to waste. Most vaccines can have a shelf life of several months, but once a vial is open, it's only usable for 6 to 12 hours.
Now to a COVID-19 long-haul survivor. 52-year-old Scott Plott was in the hospital for 105 days in New Hampshire. He says even though he's home, his fight isn't over. Nicole Lally has the details.
Scott Plott considers himself a walking miracle. He spent 105 days hospitalized on a ventilator fighting COVID-19.
I don't recall very much prior to January 22nd.
Scott was treated by doctors and nurses at St. Joseph's Hospital for the better part of 3 months.
They saved my life. They revived me when my heart stopped twice.
Scott beat the odds. He's a COVID long hauler now, still requiring 2 liters of oxygen. He's also still undergoing cardiac rehabilitation, but his mission and message is very clear these days.
Unless you want to go into a hospital and have something cut into your throat for a tracheostomy, have a tubes stuck all over your body, go 105 days without eating or drinking anything, and likely lose your life, I say go for that vaccine.
Powerful words that Scott and his wife Maggie hope can change at least one mind.
That was Nicole Lally reporting. New Zealand has been famous during the pandemic for their strict quarantine for travelers. Now they're attempting to change it up. For the past year, travelers to New Zealand have been required to quarantine in hotels under strict surveillance for 2 weeks upon entering the country. Now that much of their population is vaccinated, the country is testing out a home quarantine model. It'll still last 2 weeks and will still involve monitoring and testing, but travelers will be able to skip the hotel.
All right, no kidding. The time now is 6:10 here. Coming up on GMU, a lost phone leads to this big drug bust. We share all of what police discovered when they went looking for that phone. And an old Salt Lake restaurant burns down. Hear from those remembering the popular Diamond Lil's Steakhouse. And don't forget, staying informed, never easier. ABC4 News is there for you. Get breaking news right there on your phone. Just download the ABC4 News app. All you do is scan the QR code on your screen. We're back with your weather on the force right after this.
Time now for your weather on the 4s.
We're coming up on 6:14 here, getting to check on our weather with meteorologist Thomas Gieboy. Thomas, what do you got for us this Monday?
Well, we're starting off this morning on the mild side. It's going to feel a little bit like summer this afternoon, especially in Salt Lake City with the temperature that's going to be about 10 degrees above average. But as we move throughout the next couple of days, a big change is on the way. But for today as well, in the southern half of the state, an isolated shower or storm can't be ruled out, mainly in the higher elevation. We'll talk about that coming up in just a moment. But here's the current view from here at ABC4 News Studios, the Colonial Flag. You have the orange ball there this morning, signifying we're going to be talking about a warm day. And you can actually see a little bit of the haze. It's going to be breezy at times, not going to be too windy, but that wind will be picking up as we move into tomorrow. So here's a look at the satellite and radar. We are watching a few clouds and even a few showers moving into the southeastern corner of the state. There's an area of low pressure that's moving off to the northeast, and this is bringing in just enough moisture to the southern half of the state where an isolated shower or storm will be possible mainly this afternoon in the higher terrain out there. Meanwhile, as we move into tomorrow, this low pressure that you see in the Pacific Northwest is going to be making its way towards us, and that's what's going to be setting the table for some very big changes by the time we get into the middle of the week. But for today, with that small rain chance in the southern half of the state and those higher elevations, there's also going to be the potential for some flash flooding at some of our national parks in those slot canyons. So Zion, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, Grand Staircase, and Glen Canyon, all of which a possibility. If you're heading to the parks today, maybe going for a hike, keep tabs on the weather just in case, as that will be a possibility. Meanwhile, in the northern half of the state, going to get a lot of sunshine and hazy conditions with patchy smoke with a daytime high of 87 degrees in Salt Lake City. And for perspective, the record high in Salt Lake City today, 91, so we won't be too far away from that. 84 degrees for a high in Delta, 80 degrees in Cedar City. 90 degrees in St. George, 78 degrees in Lake Powell, and you'll also notice the southern half of the state, a little bit more cloud coverage out there as well. Let's begin the watching your weather for you, and that low pressure very apparent as it's going to be moving to the northeast today. This is today at 6 o'clock, showing a few isolated showers and thunderstorms being a possibility in the southern half of the state. Meanwhile, in the northern half, going to be very warm with times of patchy smoke and moderate air quality along the Wasatch Front. Tomorrow, that's when the system starts to move in. And isolated showers and thunderstorms will be a possibility across the state, and this is mainly going to be from the second half of the day tomorrow into the early half of the day on Wednesday, and then by Wednesday afternoon, with winds switching out of the northwest, it is going to be significantly cooler. In fact, almost a 20-degree temperature drop for Salt Lake City. Meanwhile, for those of you in St. George, just a small rain chance today. Isolated showers and thunderstorms possible for your Tuesday and Wednesday, as the daytime high goes from 90 degrees today down to 80 for your Wednesday. Then those temperatures will slowly be rebounding as we go throughout the rest of the week with sunshine, upper 80s by the end of the upcoming weekend. Along the Wasatch Front, middle to upper 80s today with a daytime high of 87 degrees in Salt Lake City, mostly sunny with times of patchy smoke. Isolated thunderstorms Tuesday and Wednesday, and notice the temperatures going to 75 tomorrow and then 61 on Wednesday. And then higher elevations and along the Wasatch back. Couldn't even rule out the chance for a few flurries or maybe even a light dusting in some of the higher-most elevations, so we'll have that potential for some snow. Meanwhile, those temperatures will begin to moderate for the second half of the week into the upcoming weekend, but it looks like it is going to be a gorgeous weekend in Salt Lake City. As we check your traffic, only a couple of accidents out there right now, but traffic still seems to be flowing along very nicely for this Monday morning. And from Provo to Salt Lake City, drive time right on time at 36 minutes. If you want to take your weather with you on the go as we're starting this new week, all you have to do is download the Pinpoint Weather App. Go to the App Store or Google Play or scan the QR code right there on your screen.
Thomas, thank you. New this morning, a 38-year-old Vernal woman died yesterday in police custody. Police say she was being taken from the hospital to a behavioral health facility in Utah County by Uinta County Sheriff's deputies when she began having a medical problem en route. Deputies stopped, they called an ambulance, but she died shortly after. State investigators are looking into her case.
And a woman looking for her lost phone in Springville led police to a major drug bust. Check out what police found when they went looking for her phone. A woman had called police saying she lost her phone, but says it was pinging from inside a home. Officers went to the house, smelt marijuana, arrested the man who answered the door, and you're looking at what they hauled out of that house. $40,000 in drugs, 53 grand in cash, and a loaded assault rifle.
Wow. The building of a once iconic restaurant in Salt Lake burned down over the weekend. That building was vacant, but it was once the popular Dine & Lil's Steakhouse. That restaurant was essentially a log cabin. Plumes of smoke were seen from miles away Saturday morning when it went up. One person watching that old restaurant burn say they used to be a cook at the steakhouse. He says the building had recently become a magnet for homeless people and graffiti.
It was known as a great steakhouse, and we were known to have the best prime rib in town. Now this is very hard to take this morning.
The building was actually scheduled for demolition on Sunday, just a day later. Crews say it's just too early to know what caused that fire. And a Montana firefighter in Utah for burn treatment is now back home. 65-year-old Dan Stephenson was brought here to Utah in mid-July when he was severely burned fighting the Harris Fire outside of Joliet, Montana. Stephenson had multiple surgeries, including skin grafts and ear reconstruction at the Utah Burn Center. He was supposed to be here for 6 months, but his healing went so well he was able to go home on Saturday.
Kudos to him. All right, you may have seen dozens of tow truck drivers at Valley Fair Mall in West Valley City over the weekend. Police, tow trucks, and others gathered for National Move Over Day on Saturday. The day brings awareness to the dangers that tow truck operators as well as emergency responders face every day helping disabled cars on the road. They hope more drivers will simply see them working.
just pay attention. When you're driving down the road, if you see emergency vehicles or flashing lights on the side of the road, it's slow down, move over for a reason. That's what we would hope that you would do.
Now, they say 17 tow truck drivers were killed this year in the U.S. from drivers who didn't slow down or move over.
President Biden has announced a plan for free college. The $3.5 trillion school plan proposes 2 years of free community college and 2 years of free preschool. States would opt into the plan, then get federal dollars to pay for it. Biden is proposing raising taxes on corporations and the wealthy to generate those dollars. He says accessible schooling will help more children get ready for school and help more adults qualify for high-paying jobs. 6:20 now, coming up on Good Morning Utah. Apple has the latest iOS 15 features. We'll take you on a tour of the new operating system. And Tesla releasing their new self-driving car software to some drivers who will qualify for the tech. As we head to break, here's a look outside. This is our Alta Cam. You can see some stars there, so pretty, and a very early sunrise. We'll be back, but first, here's what's coming up on Good Morning America.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, with that vaccine mandate for some states approaching and booster shots now rolling out, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky is going to join us live to break it all down. You'll see that and so much more right here on GMA.
Time now for your weather on the 4s.
Hey, good morning, Utah. We're coming up on 6:24 here on this Monday morning, starting off with this very pleasant view down in St. George. Got a nice clear start to the morning, and we're still a little ways away from sunrise, so we still got a while before that happens. But overall, not really starting off too bad here out here on this early Monday morning. Get my clicker to work. There we go. So St. George looking lovely this morning in most spots. It's nice, quiet, and clear, and for the most part, a warm start to the morning as well. So when we look at the satellite and radar, there are a couple of clouds and a few isolated showers down in the southeastern corner of the state. If we find an isolated shower and storm today, it's mainly going to be in the southern half of the state, favoring the higher terrain. Most of us will be getting through the day dry, and as I mentioned, starting off the warm side in Salt Lake City with the temperature sitting at 59 degrees, 52 degrees in Provo, 59 degrees in Delta, 42 degrees in Ely. 53 in Price, 53 degrees in Green River, 69 degrees down in St. George, and 67 degrees in Lake Powell. So your hourly forecast in Salt Lake City, it's going to be a pleasant start, as we'll see mostly clear conditions and hazy skies as well. Will be breezy at times for today, with those daytime highs in Salt Lake City climbing to the middle and upper 80s, 87, which is only a handful of degrees below the record high for today. So we're not going to be too far off of that. And in Park City, a daytime high today of 78 degrees, hazy at times, 84 in Moab, 82 degrees in Kanab. And again, in those higher elevations in the southern half of the state, like in Kanab, an isolated shower a possibility. But as we go into tomorrow, big changes on the way, as we'll see cooling temperatures and an increased rain chance as a system arrives. And then by Wednesday in Park City, you're going to be looking at daytime highs in the lower and middle 50s. So it kind of just goes to show just how big of that system is going to be working its way in. With your traffic, there are a few accidents out there. Got one that just popped up. Looks like it's going to be on I-15 near West Jordan. But for the couple of accidents that we have, Utah 36 northbound, and we also have Utah 68 at Redwood Road northbound as well at 6100 south. But this doesn't look like this is causing too many slowdowns for the time being. And your drive time still looking great for this Monday morning. Provo to Salt Lake City, it's 36 minutes in both directions. Safe travels.
Thanks, Thomas. iOS 15 is coming to an Apple phone near you. Rich DeMuro explains what's new about it in today's TechSmart.
iOS 15 is all about privacy and making your phone feel smarter but less intrusive. Here's a look at some of the most important new features to know about. iOS 15 is packed with features to make your phone smarter and life easier, starting with live text. Now, when you take a picture, look for a new icon in the corner. Tap it to make text come to life. Dial phone numbers, visit websites, and copy and paste. Focus is like Do Not Disturb, but with custom profiles. You can set them up for work, sleep, weekend, and more. Specify just the contacts and apps that can ring your phone. Weather gets a total redesign with full screen maps and notifications when it's about to rain or snow. You can now see all the links friends have sent you through iMessage. Just open Safari, start a new tab, and look for the Shared With You section. Speaking of tabs, you can swipe through them in Safari. If you don't like the address bar at the bottom of the screen, you can change it back to the top in Safari settings. If you subscribe to iCloud, you can now create disposable email addresses. Start by going into iCloud settings and choose Hide My Email. The secret email address will forward to your real email until you delete it. If you ever forget your password or passcode, a new account recovery feature can help. Set it up under Apple ID, Password and Security, then Account Recovery. You can now search right from the lock screen. Just pull down to start a search fast. Finally, to see if an app is spying on you, go into Settings, tap Privacy, then scroll down and choose Record App Activity. After a few days, you'll see which apps are snooping on your phone, including access to your camera, microphone, contacts, location, and photos. Apple Maps also got a big update to better compete with Google Maps with a higher level of detail in cities including Los Angeles, New York, and San Francisco. I've got all of these iOS 15 tips on my website. Just go to richontech.tv. I'm Rich DeMuro, and you are Tech Smart.
That we are. Thank you, Rich. The time 6:28. Still ahead here on GMU. The death of another University of Utah football player. Hear what we know about the death of Aaron Lowe and how people are responding. Plus, a train derails in Montana. Here, our surviving passengers helped each other escape from the deadly wreckage. As we head to the break, here's a live look outside. Sleepy start to your Monday morning. This is, I believe, Deer Valley out there today. Nice shot as we're heading into the week. We're back with more GMU right after this.
Live, we're there for you. Good Morning Utah at 6:30 starts now.
Good morning, Utah. I'm Sarah Martin.
And I'm Brian Carlson. The time is 6:30 on this Monday. We begin this half hour with another death for the University of Utah football team. Player Aaron Lowe was killed at a house party in Sugar House over the weekend. You can imagine how it's affecting the Utes team. Exactly 9 months since his former high school football teammate and fellow Utes player Ty Jordan died by accidental gunfire. Salt Lake City police say Saturday night they got multiple calls about a loud house party. Responding officers learned someone had a gun, 2 people were hit, Lowe died, and then a woman now in critical condition. Police need your help to find out who did it.
You know, the number one priority for the Salt Lake City Police Department right now is for our detectives to continue to work this case and to get justice for Aaron Lowe.
Now, officers are urging any witnesses to come forward with any photos or videos of what may have happened. So far, police aren't sure if any other Utes players were at that party. No arrests have been made.
Fellow students at the U are now speaking out about Lowe's death. One we spoke with says this hits harder because it's not the first friend he's lost to gun violence in Salt Lake City. Tony Muriel, seeing here, told us he lost a friend to a shooting in Salt Lake last year, similar to this one. In Lowe's case, police say a group of unwanted visitors showed up in Sugar House to a house party in what neighbors called a safe and quiet neighborhood. An argument turned into gunfire. The student we spoke to says gun violence like this is preventable.
This guy had such a big potential, but that was just cut so quick, and it wasn't his decision. It wasn't anybody. It was just, it's horrible.
If you know anything about Lowe's death, please call the Salt Lake City Police. Their number is right there on your screen. Salt Lake City Police Chief Mike Brown taking to Twitter to express his grief about Lowe's passing, saying, quote, "I am deeply saddened by the shooting death of Aaron Lowe. This talented young man touched the lives of so many here in Salt Lake City and in Texas." The Salt Lake City Police Department grieves with and offer their condolences to the Lowe family and the University of Utah community.
And several state leaders also tweeted their condolences for the death of the Utes defensive back. Governor Cox wrote, quote, "Abby and I mourn with our University of Utah family and friends of the tragic passing of Aaron Lowe this morning. Our prayers are with his family at this terribly difficult time." Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall also tweeted, quote, "My heart is with the family and friends of Aaron Lowe on this tragic morning. Aaron was an exceptional and talented young man who was loved by those close to him, the University of Utah community, and Salt Lake City." Now, of course, as always, ABC4 News is there for you. Be sure to stick with us for the latest on this developing story, both on air and online at abc4.com.
Time now for your weather on the 4s.
We're checking in now with meteorologist Thomas. Boy, Thomas, an early sunrise there behind you.
Yeah, we still got a little ways to go, but it's a very nice start to the morning. Got some pretty views out there as well. But this morning, it's also starting off on the mild side, especially compared to this time last week, where you definitely needed at least a sweater this morning. Some of you will be able to wear a t-shirt. But here's the current view right now in downtown Salt Lake City with the doTERRA camera and our current conditions looking at 59 degrees right now in Salt Lake City. With an east-southeast breeze at 9 miles per hour, we will see that wind kick up a little bit out of the northwest later on today. Humidity at 44% and your cloud coverage at 25%. But that cloud coverage is more so that haze from wildfire smoke. We'll be looking at more patchy smoke along the Wasatch Front, and that will come with moderate air quality for most in the northern half of the state today. And so again, 59 degrees in Salt Lake City, it's 52 degrees in Provo, 45 degrees in Vernal, 52 degrees in Green River, 50 degrees in Hanksville, 67 degrees in Lake Powell. We're at 59 degrees in Cedar City, 42 degrees in Ely, and 54 degrees over in Wendover. So this morning, had some pretty mild temperatures across the board. On the satellite and radar, we are seeing a few clouds and even a few isolated showers in the southeastern corner of the state. There's a low pressure right along the Arizona and New Mexico line that's going to continue to move off to the northeast. So in the southern half of the state today, an isolated shower or storm can't be completely ruled out, mainly in the higher terrain today. But for Salt Lake City, it's going to be warm and sunny with times of patchy smoke, a daytime high of 87 degrees, which is about 10 degrees above average. Then in St. George, a high temperature of 90 degrees, mild with that small rain chance. But again, that's mainly going to favor higher terrain, but I wouldn't completely rule out the chance of rain in St. George. When we look at the traffic right now, there are a few accidents out there, but most of the accidents there are currently off the interstate. But there is one at Utah 209, and this accident's at I-15. So if you're traveling through that area, you might want to give yourself extra time. But this morning, the drive times have been looking fantastic. In Park City to Salt Lake City, still between 31 and 32 minutes. Safe travels.
All right, thank you, Thomas. The seasons have changed, and for some kids, that means fall allergies. Today, we discuss how to protect your child, especially with Halloween around the corner. in today's Kids Under Construction.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to talk Kids Under Construction. Each Monday and Friday, we take a look at parenting and how we can navigate this together. Our expert who helps us every week is Donna Tetro. She is joining us from LA via Zoom. Donna, so good to see you. And today we're going to talk about teaching children self-acceptance. And I like that your first idea is research, making sure as a parent we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And we know from research that rejection actually changes the brain, parts of the brain that are essential for learning, memory, emotional control. So if parents really dig into this and understand what this means, even subtle rejection, it really disrupts the developmental process. And this can go into adulthood. So we really want to be cognizant of how we are talking to our children and accepting or rejecting them in their daily lives.
It really sets the foundation for their future as an adult. So let's talk about truly and really embracing who our child is.
Yeah, so this is really our deep work as a parent. Who is your kid? Ask yourself that thoughtfully. Who really is your child? Not who you want your child to be. Not the athlete if they're not the athlete. Maybe if they're the nerd, embracing the nerd. We have to embrace every person for who they are. And so that really is your work as a parent, to really get rid of those preconceived notions of what you think your child should be or the perfect life your child should be living.
I love how we talk about that when we talk about extracurriculars. Obviously, that's not as important as this, but really allowing your child to do what they want to do is something that they will be able to master it better and really enjoy it. Let's talk about empowering your children to be themselves. Once we kind of embrace it for ourselves, who they want to be, how do we empower them to do that?
Yeah, so parents have their work, but kids have their work too, right? So we have to teach kids how to embrace themselves, how to accept themselves. And this is very different. Acceptance is different from self-esteem. Acceptance doesn't rely on outside forces or other people. Acceptance is about how I feel about me inside, not anybody else, what they're thinking about me. So we really want to teach our children, how do you feel about you inside of you?
Okay, so let's take it the next level when it comes to that. So we want to teach our child to love and adore themselves, but what if they don't feel like they deserve it?
Yeah, and that's really difficult because a lot of the times kids don't feel like that if they get a poor score on a test, if they don't have a lot of friends, if they are having trouble playing a sport, whatever it is, learning an instrument, they take it inside and they don't have that love for themselves. So we really need to help them understand you're learning, you're growing, you're evolving, accept yourself where you are in this moment, it will change. So we really want to just keep this ongoing conversation going with our children. Love yourself, adore yourself. I love you, I adore you.
Now, things aren't always going to go smoothly, unfortunately. There will be conflicts, there will be stress. So talk about how, when and if that happens, the need to talk about our feelings and kind of talk through what they're experiencing during those not so great moments.
Yeah, and we really know now. I mean, we are all focusing here as a country on our children's mental health and well-being, and we're not looking at it as just this reactive thing. We need to be proactive. So in those times when they're not accepting themselves, when they're feeling down, when they're feeling stressed, we got to get them to talk about those feelings and know that those feelings, all of them, make up who they are. And that is accepting all of who they are. The good, the bad, the in-between. That is accepting all of us for who we are inside.
Okay, Donna, such an important topic, and as always, we appreciate you spending some of your time with us to take a look at these topics that we've got to be looking at. If you want to hear more from Donna, which I know you do, go online to abc4.com, and while you're there, you can find Kids Under Construction. That's the podcast that Donna does, and you can find everything waiting for you right there, so you can take a listen and hear more on the topics that she's discussing. And if you've got a question for Donna, we'd love to hear it. Just send us an email, kidsunderconstruction@abc4.com. And Donna will help us out with the answer. Donna, thanks so much. Have a great day.
Great information there. 6:39 now. Coming up on Good Morning Utah. Police are still looking for Gabby Petito's fiance. Why they took even more evidence from his home this weekend, plus laying Gabby to rest. Her community coming together for a funeral. Find out what her father doing to help other families of missing people. Don't forget, staying informed has never been easier. We've got an app with all of your local news headlines. Download from your app store or scan that QR code right there on your screen. Here's what's coming up on Good Morning America.
In this morning's GMA First Look, going inside the new FX and Hulu documentary, the New York Times presents Controlling Britney Spears. Let Britney choose! The new bombshell allegations from insiders speaking out about the intense surveillance system that they say closely monitored Spears during her 13-year conservatorship.
Her phone, her own phone and her own private conversations were used so often to control her. Just because you're in control doesn't give you the right to treat people like property. It didn't feel like she was being treated like a human being.
According to the documentary, court records obtained by the Times show that the pop star quietly pushed to end her conservatorship for years. Coming up at 7 a.m., we'll talk live to filmmaker Samantha Stark about what she learned while preparing the documentary and what's next in the battle over the conservatorship. With your GMA First Look, I'm Kayla Hartung, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Utah's most accurate forecast, here's a Pinpoint Weather Update.
Well, the time is 6:44. Let's check your weather on the fours with meteorologist Thomas Skiboy. How's our Monday starting off so far, Thomas?
Ryan, it's going to be a mild start to this Monday morning, but by the time we get into tomorrow and Wednesday, we're going to be trending significantly cooler. But for today, got a bit of a summer feel in the air, and temperatures today in Salt Lake City are going to be about 10 degrees above average. We'll see more times of patchy smoke, maybe a few isolated thunderstorms, a possibility in the southern half of the state in those higher terrains. But as I mentioned, big changes are on the way as we move towards midweek. But let's go ahead and start off with this view in Deer Valley. You can definitely tell that there's a little bit of haze out there, but that's just beautiful. And if you look down to the bottom portion of your screen, you can actually see some of the fall colors out there this morning. As you traveling up about 6,000 feet and above, it's definitely looking like fall. Meanwhile, on the satellite and radar, we are watching a few clouds moving into the southeastern half of the state with a few isolated showers. You got an upper level low pressure that continues to move off to the northeast, and this is what's going to bring us that small chance for an isolated shower and storm in the southern half of the state in those higher terrains. But by tomorrow into Wednesday, that low pressure in the Pacific Northwest, that's what's going to be bringing those big changes and a significant cool down on top of that. But for today, since we do have that chance of rain in the southern half of the state, there's also going to be the potential for some flash flooding at some of our national parks. So at Zion, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, Grand Staircase, and Glen Canyon, flash flooding in those slot canyons, all a possibility. If you're going for a hike today, make sure you're keeping tabs of the weather just in case. Speaking of today, we'll go with the daytime high of 87 degrees in Salt Lake City, and as I mentioned, about 10 degrees above average. 87 degrees in Provo, a lot of sunshine across the northern half of the state with those hazy conditions from that wildfire smoke. 81 degrees for a daytime high in Price, and you'll notice that the cloud coverage will be increasing into the southern half of the state with a daytime high of 80 degrees in Cedar City, 84 degrees in Moab, and 79 degrees in Bluff. As we begin watching your weather for you, very apparent where that low pressure is as it continues to move off to the northeast. This is today at 6 o'clock in the afternoon or / evening, where those isolated showers and thunderstorms are going to be a possibility in the south. Meanwhile, in the north, times of patchy smoke, and we'll also be looking at temperatures about 10 degrees above average. Into tomorrow, with that system moving through and a front moving through, isolated showers and thunderstorms will be a possibility all across the Beehive State. It's also going to be a bit windy, and for tomorrow, before the rain arrives, as it's going to be windy, we'll be watching out for the potential for wildfire or the chance for fire weather increasing. And then as we go into your Wednesday, all of that rain starts to move out of here. Still a slight chance early in the day. But with those winds out of the northwest, you're going to feel a big chill in the air, and that's because when we look at the pattern change from tomorrow into Wednesday, you can see that that cooler air is going to be sitting more or less on top of us, and you'll see it reflected here in the 7-day forecast, where today in St. George, a small chance isolated thunderstorms for tomorrow and Wednesday, with those daytime highs dialing back to near 80 degrees. Along the Wasatch Front, going to be dry, daytime high of 87 degrees in Salt Lake City, middle 70s tomorrow, isolated thunderstorms, isolated showers on Wednesday, with those daytime highs going into the lower 60s, and in the higher elevations, a little bit of snow can't be completely ruled out. Now, as we check your traffic, there are a couple of accidents out there, but one of those is at Utah 36, and I do believe that we have a camera of that, and that is starting to cause a few slowdowns. So if your travels take you through that area, make sure that you're giving yourself extra time. But for the rest of the area, we're looking quite good, especially on our major thoroughfares. And from Salt Lake City to Ogden, it's a 31-minute drive in both directions. If you want more weather and traffic, all you have to do is tune into the Utah CW30 at 7 a.m. We'll have a full look at your traffic and weather then as well.
Time now for news around the world. In Haiti, thousands of people deported from the United States are returning home to a country far more dangerous than they left. The capital city, Port-au-Prince, is being described as dystopian. Police stations are looted, intersections are piled with burned tires and barricades, and most of the population does not have access to basic public services. No drinking water, electricity, or rubbish collection. Deportees dropped off and given anywhere from $15 to $100, but no plan for food or shelter. Journalists on the ground estimate there are more than 100 violent gangs in the capital. In Spain, molten rock still spewing from the volcano on La Palma in the Canary Islands. Look at that. About 430 homes and buildings now destroyed. A few people have been allowed to go back to their houses, but scientists say that eruption could last up to 3 months. In China, the world's first desert railway loop was completed early this morning, 512 miles long. It connects remote cities and boasts views of windbreaks and drought-tolerant trees. The railway has a designated speed limit, 75 miles an hour, and it's got 20 stations. That's your news around the world.
And in your business news, United Airlines receives a record-breaking fine. If you want the latest self-driving car from Tesla, you need to be a good driver. Here's your Good Morning Utah business report.
A corporate buyout boom is sweeping across Wall Street. Companies so far this year have issued $120 billion of leveraged loans to finance buyouts. And the Wall Street Journal says that's just below the pace set in 2007 before the financial crisis. And United Airlines now facing nearly $2 million in fines for violating its rules on leaving delayed planes full of passengers on the tarmac for too long. The Transportation Department says the fine is based on 25 flights between 2015 and 2021. It's the biggest fine ever for these kinds of violations. Plus, Apple pushing back against a proposal in Europe that would require electronic devices to use the USB-C connector for charging. Officials say a common connector will cut down on waste, but Apple says that kind of rule will stifle innovation. And finally, Tesla is making the latest version of its full self-driving software available, but only to its safest drivers. The car maker says Tesla owners have to reach a certain safety score based on how they drive before the software update could be downloaded. And that's your Good Morning Utah Business Report.
An Amtrak train derailed in Montana, flipping train cars on their sides and killing 3 people. Many more were injured. This happened near Joplin, Montana on Saturday. The 8-car train was Seattle bound from Chicago, carrying more than 150 people. The first of those who died has been identified by his wife as Zach Schneider. First responders were on scene quickly. Passengers sprung into action to help each other escape that wreckage.
One gentleman was able to finally crawl out from under out of the gravel. We helped him up a ladder, up out of the car, and then down a ladder down onto the ground to awaiting assistance down there.
The National Transportation Safety Bureau is on scene this morning to investigate. Amtrak says they are cooperating. The stretch of track where that train derailed was inspected just last Thursday.
And over the weekend, loved ones said their final goodbyes to Gabby Petito, that Florida woman who was killed on the cross-country trip with her fiancé. Hundreds mourning her death gathered at a Long Island funeral home in New York. Her father spoke at the service, saying he hopes people will be inspired by her story and make changes that change their life for the better. Joseph Petito has started the Gabby Petito Foundation in his daughter's honor. In a tweet, he says the foundation will provide resources for other families whose children go missing.
If there's a trip that you guys want to take it now. If there's a relationship that you're in that might not be the best thing for you, leave it now.
Now, Petito's body was found a week before the funeral in Grand Teton National Park. Her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, a person of interest in the case, still nowhere to be seen and is now wanted for bank fraud charges.
Petito's fiancé, Brian Laundrie, again still missing, but investigators are moving forward, gathering items for DNA testing. Laundrie has not been seen in nearly 2 weeks. The family attorney now says he left home without a wallet or phone. His parents are concerned that he might hurt himself. Investigators are still searching the nature reserve near his home using air units, drones, swamp buggies, and other specialized equipment to search that swampy Carlton Reserve. We'll continue to follow the latest on what happened to Gabby Petito. ABC4 News is there for you with updates on air and online at abc4.com.
And new this morning, here's a wild story out of San Juan County. A woman reported missing a year ago now just showed up again. Kayla Blackburn disappeared from her home last September. Her family reported her missing to the sheriff's office and the Navajo Police Department. But it wasn't until Saturday that anyone saw the 29-year-old woman again. No word on what happened to her, how she was found, or how she's doing. And one person died in a car crash over the weekend in South Jordan. This happened Saturday near 750 West South Jordan Parkway. Details of the crash here are limited, but police say a 40-year-old woman was rushed to the hospital where she later died. Another person in that crash left with minor injuries. Covering the coronavirus, America keeps lagging behind getting people the COVID-19 vaccine. Right now, the U.S. ranks 45th in the world, according to data compiled by the Financial Times. Health experts say this is why our hospitals are overrun, and the number of Americans killed by COVID is now more than 1,500 deaths each day. The CDC says just under 65% of Americans 12 and up are now fully vaccinated.
Well, let's look at our weather this morning, Thomas.
And we got some pretty views from this past weekend. Went for a canyon drive yesterday and was atop big mountain yesterday. As I drove from East Canyon down to Emigration Canyon, just can't beat it. All the fall colors there in the distance, but it gets even better.
Oh.
Kathleen Rourke sent this in from Marysvale.
That's gold right there.
That's gold. The aspens are going to aspen.
That's gold, Jerry, gold.
The aspens are going to aspen. It's so pretty.
So pretty, and I know that you went for the Alpine Loop this past weekend.
The aspens aren't quite that yellow, but there is still tons of color.
And I think by the end of this week, they will be. But this is the view from North Ogden from Brian Whiteleather. Thank you for sending that one in. And then Carol Dyer sent this one in from Bear Lake Valley with the fall colors down the stream. And then Chris Williams sent this in from Fairview. Just beautiful views all across the board. And this morning, get some pretty sunrises as well. This is the view from St. George, shaping up to what is going to be a beautiful sunrise. Still a little ways to go. And as you're heading out the door this morning, very comfortable with our temperatures, feeling a little bit more summer-like than it is fall-like. And in the southeastern half of the state, a few isolated showers. But for Salt Lake City, 87 degrees for a daytime high, mostly sunny skies, 90 degrees in St. George. And if we're going to find rain today, it's mainly going to be in the southern half of the state and the higher terrain. Now let's go ahead and check your traffic, where there are a couple of accidents out there, and one of those is causing a couple of backups, and that's at, I believe, at Utah 36, where we do have that slowdown, so SR 36. So make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of time if you're traveling through that area. But our drive times on our major thoroughfares looking good. Bangor Highway, 28 minutes to I-15 and I-80. If you want to take your weather with you on the go, just download the Pinpoint Weather App. Go to the App Store or Google Play, or scan the QR code coming up on your screen right there.
Time for baby birthdays, and I get to do a little mom bragging this morning. Baby Eve turned 6 months old yesterday.
So this is her
cute.
half birthday
Half
yesterday.
birthday, yep.
Oh my goodness.
Still counts though, in my book.
Look at how adorable she is.
You can't really see from this distance, but she's got 2 little teeth already.
Oh yeah.
And you can't say no to
Big
that face.
smile though.
Little teethies.
Look at those bright eyes too.
Never gonna do anything wrong in her life.
No,
So
she's not.
cute.
It's impossible with that face. Just look at that.
Can't say no.
She's gonna get everything she wants right there with that face.
Yep. We love wishing happy birthday to your families too, so email us news@abc4.com. We'd love to shout out somebody on air.
If you've ever wanted to fly like a bird, well, you'll love this story. Natalie Mellinger wanted to experience flying with a flock of geese before she loses her sight. She has a degenerative eye disease. She's like, okay, this is what I want to do. Well, there's a pilot in Europe says, I have a plane just for you.
I can do it.
Yep, and so it's got this aircraft specially designed where the geese are trained to fly with the aircraft.
Whoa.
They're young, and they're impressionable, and they're like, all right, let's see if we can help train these geese before eventually they have to go out on their own. And now they fly with them in that V formation, and she was right along with them.
Just
Flying
a
V.
gorgeous view.
That's awesome. They don't look like Canadian geese, though.
No. Aren't Canadian geese bigger? I believe they are larger, are they not?
They're larger, and they'll chase you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Especially if you're on a golf course. I had that one time. where,
Exactly.
like, they were coming after us. We had a ball go in the rough.
Don't want to fly with them?
No, the geese were like, that's my turf.
And they're yelling at you.
You stay away. Thanks for making us part of your morning.
More local news coming right up on Utah CW 30.
Like it was flying at us.